Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's session, BA Insights on Emerging Technologies. And I'm once again pleased to have two really good guests to talk to me about that topic, or with me on that topic. Let's give some introductions first. So I'm going to start with you, Ben, if I could, please, to introduce yourself.
Hi, thanks, John and Kitty. I'm Benjamin Walsh. I'm one of the founders of the Better Business Analysis Institute here in Wellington, New Zealand. And I've been doing business analysis for lots of years. I'm management roles, running teams, but also working on projects. I primarily work as a consultant and sometimes specifically in the kind of enterprise analysis space. I'm really passionate about technology, and thanks for having me on the show.
You're welcome, Benjamin, and you're definitely the right guest to be on this particular episode, so thank you. And speaking of which, as well, Kitty, over to you to introduce yourself, please.
Hi all, hi everyone. My name is Kitty Hung. I started as a BA for almost 27 years. My background is actually the technology and computer science, but I like problem solving. I like working with people. I like interacting with people. So I chose my career path as a business analyst rather than a software developer or architect. And I am really intrigued about the technology. So I recently published a book. It's called Businessanalysis in the Era of Generative Artificial Intelligence. The reason why I wrote this book is I think the generative AI is the opportunity of our lifetime. And it is bigger than internet, search engine, cloud computing, mobile communication add together. So in my book, I advise the business analyst to pivot their role from competing against AI or even not using it to harness the capability of artificial intelligence. Because I want to influence the other BAs to refocus on high value work and become AI fluency will be the key in the future. Yeah.
I know for sure we'll be talking about some of that stuff shortly. No, that's brilliant. Thank you, Kitty. All right. Well, I mean, let's get the ball rolling in that case. So I think perhaps if I could start with yourself, Ben, if I can, in terms of what emerging technologies do you see having an impact on BA in the future or business analysis in the future?
Yeah, I think I'll begin by saying, look, technology's always had an impact on business analysis. So I'm not, but I think it's rapidly increased. And I like how Kitty has not only written a book, has explained that AI and specifically generative AI is going to play a key part. I mean, I use it every day. There's the fad of AI. I mean, I did image generation for a while, played with it, got bored of it. But now I find a useful kind of everyday, day-to-day use as a BA using GenAI. And actually, almost feel like I can't explicitly say that. Sometimes in workplaces, people, because of privacy and whatnot, they're actually, really wary of you using these tools. And we need to educate both BAs, but also the business people. So number one, I guess, generative AI. But I also think that advanced process modeling and measurement tools will, which are probably powered by generative AI, will become bigger. I think you're now with the power behind computing and big data, we will actually be able to model out all processes. Like the dream of a BA is to model every process and measure it all. I think that's actually possible now. And I think there'll be a continued evolution of things like whiteboarding tools and collaboration tools like we're speaking on now. And I think, there's XR, which is, VR and AR, and digital twin, which I think are interesting topics. But right now, so in the next 1 to 2 years, I would see generative AI-powered document generation being straight away off the bat that every BA needs to know how to use that to do repetitive tasks, reports, meeting summaries, standard things that are integrated in terms of the Office suite that Copilot does, but there'll be an equivalent if you're in the Google world with Gemini. And the other one is probably big data for project scoping. So actually using big data to do your analysis, what you used to use the spreadsheets for, which we all do, and I still do it every day if I need to kind of do that work for you. So again, linking big data with generative AI to summarize and come up with some actual real analysis based on real data, and not just the kind of time sensitive or short span we usually get as BAs to try and do a best guess. So that would be my top two for the next 1 to 3 years.
Certainly some topics there, I'm sure, Ben, that will resonate with people. I mean, as you talk about data analysis, process, they're definitely topics that will resonate with me for sure. Kitty, do you have I'd like to hear your view as well on that same question, please.
So I'm quite fortunate because I mentioned that my background is computer science and technology. So I'm very comfortable with emerging technologies because I'm kind of coming from a technical background. So I'm not kind of scared of all the new tools. Ben has covered quite a lot of the emerging tools, but I would like to add that AI and generative AI are only two technologies. Other things like robotic automation and quantum computing, these are the really big areas up and coming. The AI and generative AI kind of automate some kind of connective task. I call it cybernetic automation. But when we have the humanoid robotic automation, it will conduct physical tasks. So I can see there will be more use cases, physical jobs like in the building site, warehouses, and nursing home, hospital. And then you might ask, what has it got to do with business analyst? Because if I see these emerging technologies become mainstream, can we take this opportunity as a BA to support the requirements, to help conducting the user acceptance testing? The UAT will be really different from the traditional apps on the flat screen, 2D apps on the flat screen to do some like screen navigation. For example, robotic technology or drone or driverless car, all these emerging technologies, digital twin, quantum, and also blockchain. The way the whole UAT is different level. It's 3D instead of 2D. So I can see that big emerging opportunities for BAs grab this opportunity because they will be financially rewarded really well, and also they will be able to upskill themselves to support more projects, more use cases, more applications. So my add-on to Ben will be robotics, quantum, blockchain. These kind of technologies will be emerging.
And it shows, I mean, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for BAs to learn new technologies, learn new skills, adapt their approach as they go through these things. I mean, certainly just from, if I take GenAI as one example, I know just from using that you have to, to get the best out of it, you have to adapt the way that you do your business analysis.
Exactly.
And I know for sure that will be the same. We're talking about quantum, we're talking about VR, any of those other things that you mentioned as well. So I think it presents a really good opportunity to continue to learn, to not become stale in what we do, and actually
not be afraid. Don't be afraid. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, exactly right.
We think about all those the tools that might have come before and all the technologies come before. We're still around. We've adapted to it. We've added value in those situations. I'm pretty confident we'll continue to do the same in the more emerging technologies.
I think, John, with just leading on from what Kitty said around mainstream, is that BAs are not. Yes, we live in the mainstream. Obviously, we get paid in the mainstream with the business side, but our job is actually to keep abreast of things that are not mainstream yet. we are the early adopters. We are the early majority, at least, to see what might become mainstream. And some of the things that Kitty just referred to in the later part of her answer, a lot of BAs don't know what blockchain is, for example. Well, start to learn what blockchain is. Even if you're a business BA, with a capital B, it's important for you to understand these technologies.
It'd be interesting as well to get your view, and perhaps I'll start with you, Kitty, on this one, in terms of how the use of these emerging technologies like AI or machine learning, as examples, how it might end up actually shaping the future of business analysis. Because I feel like we've sort of been talking about it a little bit, but anything further to say on how it will shape the future of BA?
So for BA, I always advise my fellow BAs is we are living in a new world where cannot afford to keep an old mindset. Those days, I believe those days are gone now when we have been doing the traditional BA tasks in the last 30 years. 30 years ago, when you use the BA is to produce UML notation, BPMN modeling, and to capture user stories, because BA is the communication, if you like, person to understand the business language and technical language. BA capture the requirements and translate the requirements into software modeling so that the developers can understand better to go to implement the solution. In the ChatGPT or other generative AI tools, the computer, the AI, can actually understand natural language. So the users or BA can just communicate with the AI with natural language, and AI can translate the natural language requirements into source code and execute to a software application, a working application, to show to the users as like a prototype. So there's a chunk of work which is automated already. So for BA, we need to think about, okay, if these processes, these tasks are being automated by the AI, because AI can understand natural language, what can I do that the AI can't? How do I utilize my human intelligence, my soft skills? So the emerging technologies should be used as a tool and not a master to BA. BA will need to proficient in using the AI tools to help them, to give them a big boost in productivity. Something can be done, used to be done by the BA like 3 days, but now probably 30 minutes because of the AI automation. So BA should free up their time to really focus on relationship, stakeholder management, really capture abstract level of requirements from the stakeholders, use the human skills like fostering relationship, rapport with the stakeholders, asking some like hidden questions, because as you see, the AI only understands what is written down. But the BA, with human, we can prompt the users more questions. We become curious, we become more innovative, and we have the critical thinking. So we can capture a much better quality of requirements, and then let the AI do the coding. And then also, BAs need to come out of project scope. Traditionally,
Yes.
BAs are assigned to the project, report to the project manager, work with the scrum master, collecting requirements, producing user stories, and pass it to the developers to in the agile environments, you have this velocity, you have this, they split the user stories into like tasks, and then multiple user stories come under Epic and all this, yeah. This is to help the developers about the velocity of burn up chart, burn down chart. But imagine if the development work is automated by AI, and AI works 24/7, 365, there won't be an issue on burn up or burn down, because it's I think the line will be flat, because the AI is so consistent in producing the code. The human oversight is only to do the testing, the maybe quality check, QA, quality assurance, and check with the users in the UAT. So business analysts, in my book, I advise the business analysts to upskill themselves, to be more strategic, to actually become a critical friend of business owners and C-suite executives. Looking at performance, cost saving, efficiency, and also all these organizational issues rather than the project issues. And also challenge the alignment between projects and program and organization. Is this project like justify the efficiency, profitability, or cost reduction, cost efficiency? So business analysts will upskill themselves to become a more strategic friend of the business owners, because this is the area the AI still can't do. AI is based on algorithm. An algorithm is based on data set, and it's all programmed. AI cannot really make an organization to turn from loss making to profit making, but we can, because we can use the AI tools like data visualization, data intelligence, big data analytics, and predictive analytics to inform the organization to conduct their KPI and to make the informed decision how to improve their business performance. For me, business analysts will have the really good future, because we are very human person. We are people person. We speak to senior executives.
That's
we
right.
speak to users. Yeah, and this area still have not been automated yet.
That's right.
Whether there's AGI will automate all these soft skill, but it's still up in the air. I don't know when AGI will appear, as AGI is mean artificial general intelligence, where AI has consciousness. But at the moment, I am not seeing it yet.
No, and that's pleasing to hear at the moment, that's for sure. But quite a bit covered there. I wonder, Ben, anything, or Benjamin, anything you might add to that point?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting because I think, and this is me just making an assumption here, as Kitty's mentioned, she's come from quite a technical background in terms of where she's come from. I actually did do a software engineering degree, but I guess my point of view comes from a business mindset. And what's really interesting is, and I'll list off the 4 areas that I think lead me to the same conclusion as Kitty, but from a different perspective. So for me, I think that the AI will change not just the BA role, but of course the business landscape. As in, the world is changing, not just in emerging technologies, but the world itself is changing in terms of the way it operates and streamlining and structures and, self-forming teams and whatnot. So with all that in mind, I think that we talk about at the Institute the 4P plus model, which talks about people, process, projects, and products. So I'll try and phrase what I think is going to happen and what is useful in terms of the BA role in terms of those 4 areas. So with people, I think that exactly BAs will need to work alongside AI tools to interpret their outputs. There'll be prompt engineering. They'll need to be masters of getting the best out of these tools. It's not quite there yet. Yes, it's natural language. Yes, anyone can feed it in, but you can get vastly different outputs if you know what how to use it effectively from its input screen. But BAs will need those new skills. They should be getting them now. They should be learning the skills, interpreting outputs. How do you feed it back in? There's only a number of tokens, basically, if you like, memory that some of these AI tools know. So you can't get it to write a full novel necessarily unless you're paying hundreds of dollars to feed in for it to have your own private GPT right now. But I'm sure that will change in a few years. There's the automation of traditional tasks, as we talked about, in terms of, and we will focus on, as Kitty mentioned, high-level tasks requiring human judgment and creativity. That is something that AI is not yet there, and I still doubt that it will ever get to a point where all the sensors and I guess it's body language, the whole, community mind background will be in the next 10 years at least. In terms of processes, obviously we've talked about data collection, analysis, reporting. All the business analysis processes will be the biggest change, will be how we do things in terms of the processes we carry out. And BAs can use AI to kind of support data-driven decision-making throughout the process. We haven't had that now. It's all been kind of best guess or risk-based assessments throughout a project. We should have some decent hard data from AI tools by not just limiting it to your organization. We can now search the world in terms of, they've done this project before, what happened? What was the way they dealt with these problems or these solutions? And projects, I think, again, it's probably around those traditional project trends and risks and opportunities, but it's the scoping of those projects. And to Kitty's point, and by the way, I'm a massive advocate of this right now in 2024, as I don't think BA should be in the project realm ideally anyway. I do think that they are traditionally, but I've been pushing for BAs to be in the strategic place for a long period of time because I do think that BAs will have, their profession would die because of the evolution of agile and product owners and product managers in that space anyway. And then hearing from Kitty to say, well, with automation now limiting some of those tasks, it's a crowded market. And BAs are the best people to really be above all that and be strategic advisors, if you like. I call them enterprise strategic analysts who are really understand things like, the standard MBA kind of knowledge around business and what the business needs to do to evolve. And finally, I guess I missed out product, but I guess, there's a lot happening in product management anyway that BAs are now leveraging in terms of their day-to-day life product management, product mindset. And so AI, of course, can be great in terms of product management, I guess predicting whether or not something's going to be successful or not based on data, but also getting customer insights directly. And actually, I think leveraging what Kitty's talking about, almost writing its own features in response to customer feedback. So that whole loop of agile kind of development down at the lower level will be automated in a DevOps kind of way. And so BAs should be moving away and left from that.
Moving up.
Moving up, exactly.
I mean, there's a number of really interesting points there that sort of I could talk about probably for a long while, but and I'll try not to repeat them. But I suppose from my perspective, I think emerging technologies, they also sort of provide, and I think Kitty probably touched on this anyway, a really good opportunity to remove some of those administrative tasks we end up doing, the real non-value added tasks. Status reporting would be an obvious thing to me that I can think about off the top of my head. I think it can change the way that we train BAs as well. So I think putting them into real life situations, perhaps through
simulations,
VR, would be a really good way for them to learn. I think in a safe way. I think as well that point that Kitty made as well about that there's more to it than just the detail that we can go into perhaps with some of the emerging tools, and thinking about that BA's ability to stand back, understand the bigger picture, understand the different connected activities or products or different investigations that are going, to be able to piece it together. And I think AI at the moment feels a little bit, it's not quite there yet in terms of being able to do that, but certainly we do have that ability to consume a lot of data and different perspectives and join different stories together. And importantly, to paint that picture back to our stakeholders and interested parties. Doesn't mean we can't use AI to support it. We definitely can, and other emerging technologies. But I think just realizing our value in joining the stories together is really important. Almost like perhaps like an orchestration role. We start to become, orchestrating perhaps some of the value that's coming from different AI or emerging tools as well. So they feel like the things probably I would add on top of the great work you both did in answering that question.
Yeah. I want to elaborate what you mentioned earlier about the BA training. Think to look the way forward. The training to BA is, as you said, it is the proficiency in using the generative AI tools. So prompt engineering is one thing. AI literacy is another. So prompt engineering is to get the optimal results from the output of the AI. AI literacy, we look at so many things: bias, transparency, data privacy, data quality, and also the actual principle, the basic principle about what is AI is machine learning, deep learning, neural network. And also there's a really big debate about the AI patent, copyright, and plagiarism. As you know, I mean, recently OpenAI is been sued by New York Times and many other newspapers. AI accountability, AI governance, all this. And the big elephant in the room is AI cybersecurity. BA will need to really get a tight grip about the ability of the AI and generative AI. I assume that we three of us, we are all good people. We use the AI for good purpose to improve productivity, efficiency. At the same time, bad actors, cyber criminals, they use AI and generative AI to automate a lot of their criminal activities. So cyber resilience is just, so I can't stress no more. That's so important. So to respond to your question, John, there is a whole list of training modules for BA before they even start using the AI as a tool. In terms of AI literacy, cybersecurity, AI plagiarism, accountability, data privacy, data quality from engineering, all these should be provided to BA to upskill themselves so that they will have confidence and knowledge to use the tools effectively to its maximum full potential.
That's it. And then it shows, I mean, there's a load of new concepts to learn. And it's not just about learning what they are, it's learning how to approach your analysis. It's learning about who those people are that are going to be providing those solutions and how they need to work. Because, they're not all built the same. They're not going to need exactly the same techniques and the same sort of inputs. So it's about us sort of molding to the right scenario. And I think it's always good that we typically don't jump the gun and dive into the solution mode too quickly. But once there is a solution chosen with our help, that actually we can adapt our approach depending on the solution that's applied. And sometimes I'm sure it'll be a combination of solutions, and we have to merge our approach and adapt it, combine it as appropriate.
I was so surprised when I spoke to some fellow business analysts. They do not understand what is hallucination. And I'll say, this is so basic. This is the limitation of AI, and that's why you need the human oversight decision loop. You don't believe everything generated by the AI. You need to make the decision whether it's a fake, it's fake news, it's making up, hallucination. Oh, this is relevant, I'll use that. And also the citation as well, because one of the shortcomings of AI is they presented the output really convincing, But when you ask for the sources, the large language model was not built to present the citation like the traditional search engines. Yeah. So depends on what tools you use. I use that's why for normal search engine purpose, I use a Bing chat, the Bing Copilot, because the Bing Copilot, at least it gives some citations, the sources. But if you look, if you use like Llama 3, Perplexity, and also the Claude, the Anthropic Claude, they, and even the actual GPT, ChatGPT, they don't really give you the citation. So that's the thing. We business analysts, if we want to use the AI wisely and responsibly, we do need to know the source. And
That's right. And actually,
in
and that's an
response to
interesting point, actually,
your
Kitty.
training, the training, BA will need to learn all these skills before they even dive themselves to use the tool.
Yeah, and it's an interesting point as well, talking about hallucinations, because actually, it's just it's just a different term for something that we should all be familiar with anyway. I mean, I can think of, like, we didn't call them hallucinations then, but where you speak to one stakeholder who has an opinion or a perspective that actually isn't data driven, it's a perspective they have. But when you talk to other stakeholders, or you get data to support or contradict what you're hearing, you find that actually what you heard from one stakeholder is effectively a hallucination. It's a misnomer. It's just moving that hallucination into a different environment, and we're giving it a different name. So I think BA should be reassured in that sense.
Yeah, and I think Kitty talked about a couple of things, two things there. One around content, and that not all content is equal or correct. And we live in a world of content, and I think they call this generation, the young people generation content, because they're obsessed with generating content themselves on YouTube and what other platforms. So content is not always key. Also, we know that those that are passionate and marketed through various channels will become the one that's referenced the most. So, what speaks the loudest or the most amount of content will become true. And you know that in business, when you've got a group of people that are very passionate, usually SMEs, for example, what they call themselves SMEs, who will tell you something like, and they'll be convincing because they live in the detail, but it might not quite be true. And BAs need to have those skills to really challenge and to ask the 5 whys and all the rest of it, and look to that. And then the other point, and that's just about being a professional. And the other point, of course, is ethics. And I think that's what another point that Kitty was making was that, both governance and ethics, BAs are professionals, and our job, if nothing else, may well be the gatekeeper of saying, hey, look, just be careful. You can use these tools and you can play on the new swing, but just be careful. You might hurt yourself if you don't follow these rules.
Yeah, data privacy. Yeah.
Yeah, that takes back. We had an early BAInsights session in the year talking about BA ethics as well. So I think for anyone listening, that'd be quite an interesting connection point to go and have a look at that. But totally agree with that particular point. It's interesting as well, Ben, that you start talking about some of the BA techniques that we might currently apply today. I think you mentioned 5 whys, and we've talked about process in the past as well.
Yes.
Be interested to know if you have any views on any other techniques that we might use, I guess, more specifically to help us review and understand and confirm the content we're receiving from the emerging technology, to make sure that it is not a hallucination, it is more accurate. Have a view on that?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I think I'll start by saying I think that the fundamental techniques of a BA, the what from our toolkit, which, and I'm not talking about the how. So the what from our toolkit still remains sound. The concepts behind process modeling, however you do it, BPM and otherwise, boxes, on a whiteboard, it's node science, right? It's connecting dots. And that is fundamentally just like almost physics. It exists. And the 5 whys, I mean, there's psychology behind all that. All that sound. How we do that, though, the how, I think that's what we're really talking about, is utilizing these tools to do it almost for us, or to do it more effectively, because there are always shortcuts even now how we do those things. Like I always find it really interesting if you refer to, say, maybe the Bulwark, about how you do something even now in the latest version versus how progressive BAs may work. They may have taken different technique from a different area, and technology pushes that forward. So I think that I guess my first point being is that some of those what techniques are important. I think where we do that, as in Kitty's point, is that it will be left and it will be my above it before projects. So I think, for example, process modeling will still be process mapping of some description, even if it's in, VR or AR terms, or, through a visual landscape and much more touch or digital twin, the kind of using those future technologies to visualize things, because BAs should be visualizing. That'll still happen. There'll be some way of process modeling that will happen, and I think BAs need to learn how to do that. But it will fundamentally be about processes and pain points and where the opportunities are. But equally, things like SWOT analysis and more of those business strategic facing elements will become more useful and more important for BAs to do. So as opposed to the C-suite, who, in my experience, not always the best at doing some of those strategic analysis techniques. They're usually P&L kind of accountant kind of people. BAs can help in that space, and they can show value by looking outside the organization, by using references through AI, and then BAs need to actually figure out where those sources are. And to Kitty's point, primarily, is that not all AI tools are equal. You can have your own private GPT, so effectively your own chatbot that's using your own organization's data, and that's what I think organizations will start to do in the next 1 to 3 years. They'll have their own AI that will source their own internal private GPT, and that'll be the first way in which governance may be managed. And then there's the private side, and then there's somewhere in between, which is kind of what Microsoft's done with Copilot, where you're sourcing data externally, but what you enter into the prompts is private. And if you pay for the Copilot version, you can get that little. That's quite different to the offerings from OpenAPI or Gemini, which is the Google equivalent.
Yeah.
So I think that the techniques in terms of process modeling, which is traditional, the 5 whys, root cause analysis, big one. Root cause of a problem is probably been done before by someone else in the world. How about we leverage them by using those AI tools that have collected all that big data for us? So I think there's lots of different ways I could continue on, but the point being, the what won't change, how we do it, when we do it, and the focus on business value. I think the focus on business value in the real sense, I know that's become a cheesy word, value, is what the BA will bring using those techniques, more techniques around value, and showing and visualizing and mapping and predicting value from pieces of work will be where BAs play in 2020 or 2030, let's say.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, really thought-provoking there, Ben, and I've been furiously jotting down a few points as well that I will take away. But Kitty, I'll let you answer that question.
Yeah, so Ben mentioned about different tools like process tool or prototyping tools. In fact, they are using natural language processing. I recently saw a demo on YouTube. It's called Figma AI. So traditionally, you go to Figma to do a screenshot, but now you can actually key in your natural language requirements, and the Figma will generate a prototype, like a screen, like a user interface, yeah. And also, there is another tool called Chart.ai. It basically, you can just insert the natural language, and then you say, I would like to generate class diagram based on these requirements. I would like to generate sequence diagram and entity relationship diagrams, use case diagram. So not just ChatGPT or Google Gemini or Bing Copilot. In fact, other tools, they upgraded themselves into like they include the AI capability. So AI capability is natural language processing. So you can just use you don't have to just manually create the. I mean, there still be requirements for stakeholders to look at a process map or look at a prototype on the screen. That is fine. There's no problem. But these tools like Adobe AI, you can just generate images using natural language processing. So it is happening now. We don't really have to wait until 2030. So my main point is we have discussed in the last 45 minutes about the automation, about the capability of AI tools. Now is the time for the BA to think about, okay, the AI can be the doer, and now we become a thinker. We work alongside with the AI tools. We are the master. We use the AI tool effectively. And then we are the thinker to think about creativity, innovation, strategic, to help organization. There's one thing, the world is not going to run out of problems. There are always problems we can solve. And I hope with the technology, fast forward to the next 5 years, by 2029, we will be able to solve the problems that we will not able to solve in 2024. So I'm cautiously positive because there's a lot of other concerns, issues about AI. For example, cybersecurity and also AI ethics and transparency and all this. But I would say the most part of me, I'm positive.
I think as well, I think we can use the tool to bring the different emerging tools to bring all these things together more easily as well. I think something that I think I mentioned big picture a while ago, but we quite often bring a series of small pictures together to create that big picture, and it's us that are doing it. And I think there's a lot of support we can get from some of the emerging technologies to help us bring that big picture together, but also picking up on a few things that you said, Kitty, about data as an example. Being able to take that picture and go a lot deeper into testing it, or deeper into understanding the data or the permutations or the priorities. So really use it to become that orchestrator of a whole bunch of brand new tools that can help us do a much better analysis. Much in the same way that at some point we started to orchestrate Excel and Word and PowerPoint as a couple of examples to become better BAs as well. I'm conscious of time, and I wondered just one further question I'll put to you both if I can. Sorry to put you on the spot on this one, but I guess, is there any emerging technologies that you've seen or witnessed that have not been applied to the BA world, but perhaps applied elsewhere, that you think actually there's something that you might foresee us seeing either as a BA or perhaps applied to projects we work on in the next few years? Who knows what few means? Any ideas on that one? Perhaps Kitty, I'll start with you on that.
So first of all, I'm going to digest your question about what's relevant to BA, right? And what's the core role of BA. So business analysts, we make sure the software solution or any solution align to the business objective, not even business requirements, because business requirements are not enough. The business objectives, the business goal. So that's our role. And then we look at the domain. We need to form the domain knowledge so that we can ask the appropriate questions and intelligent questions. And then in terms of the solutions, the solution, whether they are emerging or not, any like hardware or software solution, it depends on the business goal. So for me, I would say even the solution maybe like a driverless car or a robotic capability in battlefield, in the defense sector, or defense in the technology, or manufacturing or healthcare, drug discovery and all this quantum, all this. They're there. We use the emerging technologies for the solution based on the business domain, business requirements, business objective, and business goal. So for me, I still think in the next 5 years or 10 years time, BA is still requirement driven, objective driven, goal driven, not solution driven.
Yeah.
So whether the technology is emerging or not, it's not. It depends on how our business objectives are, and that's my 2 pence of
an excellent point. I'd take us back to something we said earlier on, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And Ben.
Yeah, so I agree with Kitty. I mean, I guess it goes without saying, BAs are not solution focused. Solutions will come and go. But as we've stated, I guess, throughout this podcast, is that it is important for us to be aware of these technologies, and we generally have to be aware of it more than anyone else, really. The other thing is knowing the threats of it, but also we have our architect colleagues sometimes who go full force into a solution. So by pulling them back and showing them that there's a whole lot, or just be curious or asking stupid questions around technology, I think that's important. But with that said, I'll give you 4 technologies that are used, that could be used in business, if you like. One is, and they are specific to BA. I can see how they might relate to business analysis, or how we might collect information to be used for analysis. And that is advanced AI for root cause analysis. I think straight away, that could be just one of the techniques we use. I think that the fact is vast amounts of data out there. You're so limited in your organization, especially in small places like New Zealand, who don't think, every organization thinks they're different. But AI, or even just one of the consequences of AI is people realize that we're very similar, and there are only so many answers out there. So I think that's useful. I think predictive business with a capital B analysis, not BA, but predicting business trends. I think that's happened right now in other industries. You get economists doing it all the time. You get world leaders doing it. The IMF does it, and BAs need to get onto that. I think that's really, really useful. There's augmented reality in regards, which for me sounds fun and sounds like a game, but I've seen useful. I've got some friends who run a company in that space, and they use it to show creative data visualization in the energy space. And I don't see why that couldn't be just generally applied to, say, the education sector, or, seeing how kids, attend schools and what that means and what the impactors are, instead of just a Power BI report. So I think that's something's powerful that's happening now. And finally, which is a bit scary and we've read about, I think I underestimate how much biometrics, the full, in the world of kind of more the West, taking from the East in terms of mindfulness and worrying about a human element, that biometrics might play a part in terms of not only are we working efficiently, are people being efficient in their process? Are they happy in their process? And we might be literally measuring that through their bodies, through their headphones or whatnot. So I think there's some really interesting areas there, and they might be just solutions, but they might also be areas of analysis that we need to kind of be aware of.
The tools, to use.
I mean, it ties in quite nicely as with the point I was reading up about a week or so ago about automated AI-driven interviews as well. So I think that's feels like something could be quite interesting in terms of almost teeing up some emerging technology to conduct some sort of en masse interviews, extracting information from different individuals. And I don't mean a survey, I mean sort of being able to ask different questions as different answers appear. So I think that's quite an interesting one. Not sure I'm ready yet to hand over to automated interviews to conduct BAInsights sessions just yet, but definitely it's one I'll keep an eye on. Likewise as well, I'll obviously keep an eye on what pair of you are both sharing I know like books and insights that you share as well. So definitely look out for that. I know we're about time, so I suppose we'll draw the session to a close. But I do want to thank you both for your insights and your knowledge and being kind enough to share your point of views on screen. I've definitely learned a lot, as I often do from these sessions. Scribbled loads of notes down, and I'm sure I'll rewatch the video a few times and look into some of these concepts that you've been sharing as well. So I'd just like to thank you both once again for your time.
I mean,
Thanks, John.
I would like to share the key takeaway with the audience.
Yeah, sure.
It's we do maybe the job title, the role business analyst should be modernized to intelligence analyst. That will show we are working alongside with the AI tools, and we become an intelligence human, not artificial intelligence, so that we can show to the younger BA who are in the early career stage that the future is towards the intelligence, but humans are still needed.
Yeah.
AI will not replace us. The person using AI will. And that's how we demystify the whole thing about AI. Because Elon Musk, he came out and say 90% of the world will be sitting at home and earning universal income because 90% of the job will be conducted by AI. I'll say, really? Show me that AI can cure cancer, dementia. Can AI make a person using wheelchair walk again? Can AI, can AI stop earthquake? Can AI move the clouds around the world so that we have a balance of rainfall so we can avoid flooding and the wildfire and drought? And Ben, you live near Australia. You see, every 5 years there would be a really big wildfire. Can we do this? Because at the moment we can't. So that's why we still need human to keep innovating to solve the global problems.
That's it. And it's the ideas, isn't it, Kitty? It's not just the doing, it's actually coming up with the ideas.
The idea to be a thinker.
Exactly.
And that's why I want to bring, I'm not going to be around forever, John. I want to pass this message to the new young professional in their early career, in their early 20s, just coming out from the education, to see that is the direction we're heading to. We still need humans.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that point, ending with a human touch, as it were. Nice place to end, but I appreciate the last few words there, Kitty. Definitely, I'm sure, of value to not just me and Ben, but the others who are watching this as well. But as I said, yeah, we'll look out for you both. I'll certainly look forward to speaking to you again in the future. And yeah, so thank you again.
And thank you for the invitation.
Thanks, Kitty.
Thank you, everybody.